Gilligan's Island was once a symbol of carefree humor and friendship on a stranded island, but real life was nothing like the show itself. The actors gradually passed away, some due to unexpected accidents, others because of addiction. In this list, you'll revisit familiar faces and the touching truths about their final days. Let's go. Natalie Schaefer as Lovey Howell. Natalie Schaefer was born on November 5, 1900, in Red Bank, New Jersey. When she joined Gilligan's Island from 1964 to 1967, she was 64 years old, but still left a strong impression with her role as Lovey Howell, the elegant, sarcastic, and fashionable wife of millionaire Thurston Howell III. With her innate grace and refined comedic flair, Natalie turned Lovey into the archetype of the helpless rich lady, beloved by audiences across America. Natalie Schaefer passed away on April 10, 1991, at the age of 90. She died at her home in Beverly Hills from complications of liver cancer, an illness she never disclosed to friends or fans. Despite being private about her personal life, she made a lasting impact by donating between $1.5 to $2 million to the Lillian Booth Actors Home, which later named the Natalie Schaefer Wing in her honor. Her net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $10 million, primarily from television and stage earnings and shrewd real estate investments in Beverly Hills. Natalie's romantic life was rather troubled. She was once married to actor Louis Calhern from 1933 to 1942, but the marriage quickly ended and produced no children. From then on, she never remarried and lived quietly alongside her longtime companion, Maurice Hill. Several close friends revealed that she had previously been a breast cancer patient, but kept it completely secret. In her final years, Schaefer became increasingly reserved and withdrawn after witnessing the passing of many close colleagues, particularly Alan Hale Jr., skipper of Gilligan's Island, who died of cancer in 1990. Though always appearing graceful and witty on screen, she carried within her a deep sadness, the quiet loneliness of a once brilliant artist, now standing alone in the twilight of life. Jim Bakus as Thurston Howell III. James Gilmore Bakus was born on February 25, 1913, in Cleveland, Ohio, USA. When he joined the hit sitcom Gilligan's Island from 1964 to 1967, he was 51 years old. On the show, he played Thurston Howell III, an eccentric, humorous upper-class millionaire stranded with his wife and strangers on a deserted island. His character became a symbol of the helpless rich, and thanks to his exaggerated aristocratic demeanor and unique voice, Jim Bakus crafted an unmistakable figure both lovable and absurd. Jim Bakus passed away on July 3, 1989 in Los Angeles at the age of 76. He died after years battling Parkinson's disease and pneumonia complications, which severely weakened his health in his final years. With a career spanning nearly 50 years, and including iconic roles like the voice of Mr. Magoo and numerous films, his net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $5 million, an impressive sum for that era. Jim Bakus's personal life was relatively stable compared to many of his contemporaries. He married Henny Bakus, his one and only wife, in 1943, and they remained together for over 40 years without separation. They had no children together, but they wrote books, acted in films, and supported each other in every aspect of life. Henny was not just a life partner, but also an artistic collaborator. The two co-authored several humorous memoirs, including the well-known Only When I Laugh and Bakus Strikes Back. In his final years, despite suffering from illness, he maintained a cheerful spirit, even releasing a comedy album titled The Dirty Old Man in 1974. Jim Bakus lived simply, just like the roles that made people laugh, and quietly became someone they would remember forever. Bob Denver as Gilligan. Robert Osborne. Denver was born on January 9, 1935, in New Rochelle, New York, and grew up in Brownwood, Texas. In 1964, when he was 29 years old, he took on the role of the goofy sailor Gilligan in Gilligan's Island, the American version of Man About the House. This role quickly made him a television icon, becoming part of the childhoods of millions of American viewers throughout the 1960s and for many decades afterward. He passed away on September 2, 2005, at the age of 70, after undergoing surgery for throat cancer and complications from pneumonia at Wake Forest University Hospital in North Carolina. His ashes were sent to his hometown of Princeton, West Virginia, where he and his final wife, Dreama, ran a small local radio station with a vintage theme. His net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $3 million, mainly from television royalties and later appearances as the legendary Gilligan at events and TV shows. Behind the humorous and lovable image on screen was a life filled with difficulties. Bob Denver went through 4 marriages and had 4 children, but lasting happiness in love remained elusive, especially his divorce from his first wife, Carolyn Craig, a beautiful actress who once starred in a film with Elvis Presley. He was also arrested twice in connection with marijuana, first in 1971 and again in 1998, when the substance was mailed directly to his home. He once claimed it was sent by a fellow actor, but later refused to reveal the name in order to protect that person. Although he lived a rather private life in his final years, Bob Denver frequently appeared at charity events, bringing back the image of Gilligan to loyal fans. Behind the spotlight, he was a man who endured much inner torment and loneliness, and only truly found peace when he stepped away from the stage. Alan Hale Jr. as the skipper, Jonas Grumby. Alan Hale Jr., born Alan Hale McCahan, was born on March 8, 1921 in Los Angeles, California, USA. He was the son of veteran actor Alan Hale Sr. and silent film actress Gretchen Hartman. When he took on the role of Captain Jonas Grumby, commonly known by his affectionate nickname, the Skipper, in the sitcom Gilligan's Island, 1964 to 1967, Alan Hale Jr. was 43 years old. In the show, he played the large, kind-hearted, and humorous skipper who constantly tried to protect the small group of castaways stranded on the island along with Gilligan. Alan Hale Jr. passed away on January 2, 1990, at the age of 68. The cause of death was thymus cancer, a rare type of cancer that severely weakened him in his final years. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $2 million, mostly earned from hundreds of television and film roles and promotional activities related to Gilligan's Island. In his personal life, Alan Hale Jr. was married twice. His first marriage to Bettina Reed Doer lasted from 1943, and they had 4 children together. After their divorce, he remarried singer Naomi Grace Ingram in 1964 and remained married to her until his death. Though his career was associated with cheerful characters, he experienced deep personal losses, particularly the death of his father, whom he deeply admired and viewed as a professional role model. In addition, being typecast as the skipper made it difficult for him to reshape his career in more serious roles. However, he never complained and was always willing to portray the skipper again in charity events, especially when visiting seriously ill children in hospitals. Russell Johnson as the Professor, Roy Hinckley. Russell David Johnson was born on November 10, 1924 in Ashley, Pennsylvania, USA. In 1964, when he was 40 years old, he accepted the role of Roy Hinckley, also known as the Professor, in the hit sitcom Gilligan's Island. His character was a smart and patient scientist who frequently tried to help the shipwrecked group escape the deserted island, although his inventions sometimes led to hilariously unfortunate situations. Russell Johnson passed away on January 16, 2014, at his home on Bainbridge Island, Washington, at the age of 89. The cause of death was kidney failure. He was cremated, and his ashes were kept by family members. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $1 million, primarily from television income, Gilligan's Island reruns, and supporting roles in earlier Western films. Russell Johnson's personal life carried many quiet tragedies. He was married 3 times, with his second marriage to Kay Cousins Johnson lasting nearly 30 years until her death. They had 2 children, and the greatest sorrow of his life was the death of his son David, a passionate AIDS activist who died in 1994 at the age of 39. After that loss, Johnson became more withdrawn from the media and lived in seclusion on the Washington coast. Although the professor was a character that brought laughter, in real life, Russell was a father who had immersed himself in grief and loss. In his final years, he rarely appeared in public, but to fans, he remained the image of intelligence and kindness, the man who once tried to build an entire boat out of nothing but bamboo and coconuts. Dawn Wells as Mary Ann Summers. Dawn Alberta Wells was born on October 18, 1938 in Reno, Nevada, USA. She graduated from the University of Washington with a major in theater arts and design and was crowned Miss Nevada in 1959. When she took on the role of Mary Ann Summers in the series Gilligan's Island, 1964 to 1967, she was just 26 years old. On the show, Dawn Wells portrayed Mary Ann, a sweet, intelligent country girl, the embodiment of traditional American beauty, often in contrast to the glamorous image of Ginger. The character Mary Ann became a beloved television icon for generations. Dawn Wells passed away on December 30th, 2020, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 82. The cause was complications from COVID-19 during the pandemic in California. Before her death, she had been diagnosed with dementia and faced financial difficulties, having to seek community support through GoFundMe to cover medical bills after a fall. Her net worth at the time of her passing was estimated at around $1 million, mostly from her role as Mary Ann and her work in the arts and charity. Dawn Wells's personal life was filled with quiet sorrow. She never remarried after her brief marriage to Larry Rosen, 1962 to 1967, and had no children. She once shared that not having children was something that made her feel lonely in her later years. Although famous and beloved, Wells spent her final years in solitude and financial struggle, continuing to work to sustain her humanitarian efforts, such as founding Spudfest and the Film and Television Institute in Idaho. She was devastated by the death of her close co-star Russell Johnson, who played the professor in Gilligan's Island. Despite the hardships, Dawn Wells left behind a legacy not only through her classic role as Mary Ann, but also through her compassion and extraordinary resilience. Mel Blancc as the Parrot. Melvin Jerome Blancc was born on May 30, 1908, in San Francisco, California. He was a legendary American voice actor, known as the Man of 1,000 Voices. In 1966, when he was 58 years old, he took on the role of the Parrot in Gilligan's Island. Though it was a small part, Mel Blancc brought a unique liveliness to the character with his signature, colorful voice, making the Parrot a fun highlight in several episodes. Mel Blancc passed away on July 10, 1989, at the age of 81, from heart and kidney failure. He was laid to rest at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, where his headstone bears the iconic inscription, "That's all, folks," the famous line associated with many of the animated characters he voiced. At the time of his death, Mel Blanc's net worth was estimated at around $10 million, mostly from voice acting contracts, advertising, and character royalties he owned. In his personal life, Mel Blancc married Estelle Rosenbaum in 1933 and had one son, Noel Blancc. His family remained private and stayed away from the spotlight. In 1961, Mel was involved in a serious car accident that left him in a deep coma. Strangely, when doctors called out to him using the names of his animated characters like Bugs Bunny, he immediately responded, showing a profound connection between him and the personas he created. Mel lived simply and dedicated his entire life to the arts, building an immortal animated universe. Charles Maxwell as radio announcer. Charles Carlton. Maxwell was born on December 28, 1913, in Long Island, New York. In 1964, when he began participating in Gilligan's Island, he was 51 years old. In this famous series, Charles Maxwell took on a unique role, providing the voice of the unseen radio announcer who delivered news broadcasts from the outside world to the island. Although he never appeared on screen, his voice became a familiar signature throughout the entire series. Charles Maxwell passed away on August 7, 1993, at the age of 79. He died due to complications from heart disease after years of declining health. Throughout his career, Maxwell appeared in a wide range of popular TV series such as Bonanza, Gunsmoke, Rawhide, Bat Masterson, and Star Trek, often in supporting or guest roles, but always leaving a strong impression. Although rarely credited on screen for his announcer role in Gilligan's Island, his contribution carried significant impact. His net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $1 million, mostly from decades of income from acting and voice work. Charles Maxwell's personal life was a quiet and somber contrast. He never married, had no children, and dedicated nearly his entire life to the craft of television. In his later years, he faced the consecutive loss of close colleagues in the voice acting industry, a period that led him into prolonged depression. Charles Maxwell lived quietly amid the fading glow of past fame, with his passion for the profession serving as his only source of comfort. His voice now lingers as a warm memory of a silent artist who gave wholeheartedly, yet was never truly recognized on screen. Zsa Zsa Gabor as Erica Tiffany Smith. Zsa Zsa Gabor, born Zsa Zsa Gabor, was born on February 6, 1917, in Budapest, Hungary. She was one of the three famous Gabor sisters and gained global fame for her beauty, distinctive voice, and glamorous lifestyle. When she appeared on Gilligan's Island at the age of 48, Zsa Zsa played Erica Tiffany Smith, a charming, humorous, and extremely snobbish female millionaire who arrived on the deserted island with the ambition of turning it into her private resort. Although she appeared in only one episode, Zsa Zsa left a lasting impression with her irreplaceable elegance and flair. Zsa Zsa Gabor passed away on December 18, 2016, at the age of 99, at her private mansion in Bel Air, Los Angeles, after many years of battling complications from strokes and heart failure. After cremation, her ashes were returned to her homeland of Budapest according to her wishes and are now placed at Kerepesi Cemetery, the resting place of many notable Hungarian figures. At the time of her death, Zsa Zsa's net worth was estimated at around $40 million, mostly from real estate, her Hollywood legacy, and her many wealthy and often controversial marriages that frequently made headlines in international tabloids. Zsa Zsa Gabor's romantic life was like a strange novel. She was married 9 times. The most notable was her marriage to Prince Frederick von Anhalt, who was much younger than her and remained loyally by her side until the end of her life. She had one daughter with her third husband, actor George Sanders, but the relationship between mother and daughter later became distant. Behind the glittering facade were years of declining health, beginning with a serious car accident in 2002 that left her partially paralyzed. Still, Zsa Zsa never let others see her weakness. She appeared with flawless hair, bright red nails, and her signature aristocratic wit, once quipping, "I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house." She passed as an irreplaceable icon of glamour, extravagance, and pride to the very last moment. Don Rickles as Norbert Hackett. Don Rickles, full name Donald J. Rickles, was born on May 8, 1926, in Queens, New York. In 1966, when he was 40 years old, Don Rickles appeared on Gilligan's Island as Norbert Hackett, a greedy and deceitful businessman who tried to exploit the plight of the island's stranded inhabitants. Though the role was brief, it was rich in social satire and marked one of the rare occasions Rickles appeared in a comedic adventure sitcom. Don Rickles passed away on April 6, 2017, at the age of 90 due to kidney failure at his home in Los Angeles, California. He was buried at Mount Sinai Memorial Park Cemetery, resting among many legendary performers. His net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $30 million, accumulated from 6 decades in the entertainment industry, touring, and film and television roles. In his personal life, Don Rickles married Barbara Sklar in 1965, and the two remained together until his death, raising 2 children, including Mindy Rickles, an actress and comedian following in her father's footsteps. Though he always made audiences laugh on stage, Rickles endured deep sorrow after the sudden death of his son, Larry Rickles, in 2011 from pneumonia. That loss left a tremendous void in his life and in the hearts of fans around the world. Phil Silvers as Harold Hecuba. Phil Silvers, full name Philip Silver, was born on May 11, 1911, in Brooklyn, New York. When he appeared on Gilligan's Island in 1966, he was 55 years old. On the show, Silvers played Harold Hecuba, a self-important Hollywood film producer who visited the island in a special episode. Though it was a one-time appearance, his performance left a strong impression thanks to his wit, sharp delivery, and big star in a small world persona. Phil Silvers passed away on November 1, 1985, at the age of 74. The cause of death was heart failure following a series of long-standing health issues, including strokes and diabetes. His net worth at the time of his death was estimated at around $5 million, mostly from the success of The Phil Silvers Show, supporting roles in television and a few small real estate investments. Silvers was married twice, and both marriages ended in divorce. He had 5 children, but often admitted that he was too focused on his career to truly fulfill his role as a father. His life was also marked by a gambling habit, one that cost him hundreds of thousands of dollars in Las Vegas. Though he was a master at making people laugh, he struggled with depression and suffered a breakdown following a stroke in the 1970s, which forced him into early retirement from the stage. His once celebrated career came to a quiet close. Sterling Holloway as Bert. Sterling Price Holloway Jr. was born on January 14, 1905 in Cedartown, Georgia, USA. In 1964, when he was 59 years old, he appeared in Gilligan's Island as Bert, a minor but amusing character who brought gentle laughs to viewers. This role marked one of his rare live-action television appearances, as he was primarily known for his iconic voice work. Sterling Holloway passed away on November 22, 1992, at the age of 87, from a heart attack at Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles. His net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $3 million, largely from decades of work with Walt Disney, voicing standout roles such as Kaa in The Jungle Book, the Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland, and especially Winnie the Pooh, a role closely tied to his name for generations. Although he was famous and beloved by millions of young fans, Sterling Holloway's personal life was far from warm. He never married, but once had a long relationship with a woman named Mary Lou, a romance that ended quietly, leaving a void he rarely spoke of. He adopted a son, Richard Holloway, but their relationship was often strained due to his demanding work schedule and emotional distance. The sudden death of his only brother was a major blow to him. In his final years, Holloway battled heart disease and was no longer able to voice Winnie the Pooh, something that deeply saddened him. Even so, he left behind an irreplaceable legacy in the hearts of fans, a voice that was warm, innocent, and full of nostalgia. Hans Conreed as Wrongway Feldman. Hans Georg Conreed Jr. was born on April 15, 1917, in Baltimore, Maryland, USA. When he played Wrongway Feldman in Gilligan's Island, he was 47 years old. His character, a quirky World War II pilot who had gone missing and then suddenly landed on the island with eccentric behavior and odd beliefs, left a lasting impression on audiences thanks to Hans's uniquely zany energy and brilliant satirical acting. Hans Conreed passed away on January 5, 1982, at the age of 64, due to a sudden heart attack in Los Angeles, California. His body was cremated, and his ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean, a final wish that reflected his love for freedom and the arts. His net worth at the time of death was estimated at around $3 million, primarily from his voice work, in which he was celebrated as one of the most distinctive male voices of the 20th century. Though famous for his eccentric and villainous roles, Hans Conreed's personal life was rather stable. He married Margaret Grant in 1942, and their marriage lasted 40 years until his death. The couple had 4 children, and Conreed always prioritized family, even turning down major stage roles to avoid being away from them for too long. However, he did go through a personal crisis in the late 1960s when mild alcoholism began affecting his work, a problem he voluntarily overcame, making a strong comeback in the early 1970s with roles in The Monster That Challenged the World and on the radio show The Burns and Allen Show. His story stands as a model of a talented, flawed artist with the strength to rise again after a fall, leaving a lasting mark on American screens. Veto Scotty as Dr. Boris Balankoff. Vito Giusto Scozzari, known professionally as Veto Scotty, was born on January 26, 1918, in San Francisco, California. When he portrayed Dr. Boris Balankoff in Gilligan's Island, he was 47 years old, the perfect age to fully embody the image of a mad scientist with wild eyes and dangerous experiments. His character was a brilliant eccentric who appeared unexpectedly on the island with a plan to turn everyone into tools for his world domination schemes, creating one of the show's most memorable episodes. Veto Scotty passed away on June 5, 1996, at the age of 78. The cause of death was lung cancer, after many years quietly battling illness. Throughout his career, which spanned more than half a century, Scotty accumulated a net worth estimated at around $2 million, mostly from hundreds of supporting roles in television and film. Veto Scotty's personal life was somewhat in contrast to the wild energy he brought to the screen. He married actress Beverly Carlton, and they had 2 children together. Their marriage was more enduring than most in Hollywood at the time, lasting until Scotty's death. He once experienced a major shock when his father died suddenly just as his career was taking off. In 1969, he impressed audiences in the film Cactus Flower, starring alongside Goldie Hawn and Walter Matthau. Veto Scotty was not just the mad scientist on the island, but also a true symbol of the character actor, a beloved presence who lifted every scene he touched. Tina Louise as Ginger Grant. Tina Louise was born on February 11, 1934 in New York City, USA. In 1964, when she took on the role of Ginger Grant, a glamorous and humorous movie star in the popular sitcom Gilligan's Island, Tina Louise was just 30 years old. With her radiant beauty and cinematic poise, the character Ginger became a cultural icon of 1960s American television. As of 2025, Tina Louise is 91 years old and the last surviving member of the main cast of Gilligan's Island. After stepping away from the spotlight, she has lived a quiet life in New York, devoting her time to writing and actively participating in charity work, particularly in the field of children's literacy. She is the author of 3 books, including 2 for children. Tina Louise's net worth in 2025 is estimated at around $6 million, primarily from her decades-long acting career and revenue from published books. In her personal life, Tina was once married to renowned broadcaster Les Crane from 1966 to 1971. The marriage ended in divorce, but they had 1 daughter together, Caprice Crane, who is now a writer and former MTV contributor. Tina once expressed her frustration with being typecast as the glamorous beauty Ginger, which limited her opportunities in film. In later years, she worked hard to break out of that mold by taking on more serious dramatic roles. However, the overwhelming pressure of fame and public scrutiny once caused her to withdraw from the limelight. Tina Louise stands as a living testament to the challenges faced by television starlets when their on-screen image eclipses their true identity. Though they have left the screen, and in many cases this world, The laughter, charm, and unforgettable moments they brought to Gilligan's Island live on in the hearts of fans. Which character from that quirky island do you remember most? Share your memories in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more surprising behind-the-scenes stories from classic Hollywood.